Hey, how y'all doing? This is Sun 919 Truth Sports coming to you with another segment. And let's go ahead and get right into it. This is one of the segments that I do called What I Learned About Coach Prime's coaching staff. And this is in the win over Texas Tech 41 to 27 this past weekend. So I want to go ahead and get right into some of the notes. They showed resilience again because no matter what the score is, they seem like they always have a chance to win the game. They were down 13-0 early. Texas Tech scored quick and scored often. They were down 10-0 by the 7-minute mark of the first quarter. They did end up scoring 10 straight points before the half that put them back into the game, and that would later, put them back into the control of the game. But Texas Tech had 3 touches and 3 scores. So it looked bad really early. Texas Tech was making it look easy, and Colorado kind of looked overwhelmed. But Colorado did end up scoring 31 to 14 in the second half, of course, to win the game. There was some turmoil on the sidelines between Shador and the receivers early on, which I love. You can tell that they obviously care. They obviously watched film, and something wasn't clicking with what they were doing and what they were seeing, so they kind of got into it back and forth. But what I noticed, and also the announcers noticed, was that Shador was taking it all in. He wasn't fussing or being angry. He listened to him and shook his head, and then they end up getting on the same page and they end up fixing it. I just love seeing stuff like that. But the second quarter, though, the defense stepped up, and it seems like when the defense stepped up, the offense fed off of that, and they end up stepping up. So that was another good thing. Jimmy Horn did hurt his ankle early. A lot of people, because I was on some of these chats, on YouTube, where we have to watch it sometimes if you don't have these apps. I just hate all these different apps. It's so different from what it used to be. But we find out later that he did hurt his ankle. They first had a lower body injury, but we found out it was his ankle. To me, he is not having a draftable season. I hate to say that because I like Jimmy just like a lot of us do. But one thing he does have that you can't teach, he does have speed. And hopefully, with his speed, we do know he has talent. And then with Coach Prime behind him, hopefully he will still get drafted or try out or something. Because right now he is their fourth best receiver, if you ask me. So let me go ahead and get right into it. The offense, which is led by Pat Shermer and Coach Phil Loadholt. It looked like Shermer did have control over the offensive game because there was another good run to pass ratio. There were 30 receptions for 27 runs, so that's balance. And you always want to see balance. They were not balanced early, and they struggled in those games. Shador was sacked only 3 times, which means he was well protected. The freshman offensive tackle Jordan Seaton had a grade of 77.3. And I got that from another website, so I don't want to go deep into that without giving him credit. It was a high grade, and because he's a freshman, that's why I added it to my part, my little show that I do. But I need to read up on what all that means and how they come up with before I dig deeper into that. And they're also saying he may be a freshman All American according to the announcers. So let's hope and pray that he gets that. Seems like a good kid. The offense got off to a slow start as they normally do, but like I said before, they end up scoring 10 straight points before the end of the half to put them back into the game. So by halftime, the offense had only scored or produced 10 points. For the game, Shador went 30 for 43 for 291 yards and 3 touchdowns. They only had 60 rushing yards. So I give the O line and the offensive unit, the O line for the most part, a B plus because they only gave up 3 sacks. Go ahead and get into the running backs, which is coached by Coach Gary Harrell or Coach Flea. The running backs went 17 carries for 50 yards between Augusta and Hayden. They did not get any touchdowns. I do not count Shador's rushing yards when I count these type of rushing yards. That's why the numbers are a little different. Um, so they did not score. The leading rusher was Augusta. He went 10 carries for 32 yards with a 3.2 average. Not too good, but enough to keep them in the game. One rushing touchdown came from Shador, which is what I don't count for the running backs. So they had a pretty good presence in the game. But overall, the rushing game only produced 60 yards and 1 touchdown. So I give them a B for production. Really a B minus. The wide receivers, which is led by Jason Phillips. The wide receivers always look great, very productive. They were the leader of the offensive again. Travis led the receivers again with 9 catches for 99 yards and 1 touchdown. LeJontay Wester had 6 catches for 82 yards and 1 touchdown. Will Shepard had 8 catches for 79 yards and 1 touchdown on a great one-handed catch in the end zone in the corner. So three of those guys, all those numbers were right there. That's why you can't really double anybody because though you can see those guys can put up the exact same numbers. And then with Jimmy Horn added in there, you definitely can't double or triple team anyone. As I said before, Jimmy went out with an ankle injury. Shador did hit 7 different receivers. Sometimes he'll hit up to 10 different receivers. They have one that's out. Mari is out with an injury, so it takes away. They did outperform perform the Texas wide receivers. Normally, the receivers, Colorado receivers, always outperforms the opposing receivers. Colorado had 30 catches for 291 yards and 3 touchdowns. Tech had 24 catches for 275 yards and 2 touchdowns. And again, the receiving room looked great. They look explosive, so I give them an A as they mostly get. They're very productive, very dependable. Getting to the defense is led by Coach Vincent, the Coach Lewis, Coach Livingston, Coach Hart, and Coach Mathis. The defense looked very good. They were very effective. As I said before, by the second quarter, the defense seemed to have stepped up. And when they stepped up, it seems like it woke the offense up. So I can kind of give them an offensive defensive respect because they got the offense going off of their defense. They did shut the run down early because there was a very good running back that Texas Tech has. They'll have a good running game, and they basically shut him down. He did get his yards later, but that was because it's almost like when you play basketball and you're up by 30, and then it seems like the other team gets a lot of points because you don't have the same intensity. You're not playing the same type of defense. Another team gets their numbers, but during the real game time, they were shut down. So. That's what I equate that to. The defense did get off to a slow start by giving up those 13 points early by the 7-minute mark of the first quarter. But as I stated, they picked it up. Levante Bentley was the leading tackle with 10. Cameron Craig, from Jackson State, he was very active again. He had a fumble recovery again. Number 35, BJ had 2 sacks. He calls a fumble that got Shiloh a touchdown on the fumble recovery. But that kid is good. He's a good player, man. He's a very good player. He hits hard. He's all over the field. Number 88 McNeil had a sack. He also had an assisted sack, so it was like 1.5 that they gave him. And he also got a big fourth down stop by himself, which was I had to note that because it was very impressive. He was all over the field. That's just a dog because he also was hitting the quarterback late too a couple of times. Just to tell you the truth. But he also had 2 sacks. Number 27 Wade had a sack. But for the most part, like I said before, they stopped a very good running back. The defense did finish with 7 sacks overall. The defense did allow 14 points in the second half, which is not like them. Normally, when I do this, it's normally from 0 to 7 is what they allow for the most part. But the defense was all over the field. Once they stopped the rush, they were rushing the quarterback like crazy. So even if they didn't get a sack, they had that quarterback thinking about the rush and rushing his throws. They just had so much of an impact on the game. Um, they did give up 275 yards passing, 113 rushing yards with 1 touchdown. 137 was from one guy. His name was Brooks, which was the running back. And they was basically They basically got those numbers because they was strictly playing the pass and not the run at all when Brooks was running. And I thought it was kind of weird that they was running. And they was down by so much, but Brooks did become the school's leading rusher in that game. I don't know if a lot of people know that. So congratulations to him. He's the leading rusher right now in the history of that school. So that's good for him. His name is and then the reason that the rushing yards looked a little off is because number two, the quarterback had a negative 36 yards in their rushing. So even though it was 130 some odd yards, 36 was taken away because of the quarterback getting a negative 36 yards. So they count that towards the rushing game. Now they usually count it towards the passing game, but now when the quarterback gets negative rushing, they put it towards the running game, and I don't understand that. But it is what it is. The kicking team and the special teams, Mata looked good. He went 2 for 2, but there was no real returns on the kick returns or the punt returns. Nothing to note. They did have a bad kicking game as far as the punts were concerned with Fasant. He did pretty bad this game. None of his kicks were good, so I kind of give him a D because they really didn't add anything to the game. So my players of the game was B.J. Green. He had 2 sacks. He was all over the field. Amari McNeil, number 88 again, 1.5 sacks. He was all over the field. Will Shepard had a great one catch in the corner. He's always important in those 50-50 balls to me. It's kind of like Travis to a certain level. The defense as a whole, I gave them a player of the game along with the coaches because they had 7 sacks. And the defense to me, really, even though the offense stepped up, but the defense saved that game from getting out of hand. The offensive line, I give them player of the game because they only allowed 3 sacks. So you have to give them credit for that, especially with the issues that Colorado has had since last year with the offensive line. So this was another great game to watch, another great win. They have won 3 in a row. They are in position to win their conference championship. So they have won the last 6 out of the last 7, and you can't do nothing but respect that. So let's just hope they keep it going. Um, and it is what it is. So it's been Hunt 919 Truth to Sports. Ride with me.